So, what does customer service look like in a world you can literally step inside of? Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a fascinating white paper from Salesforce that tackles this very question for the metaverse. It's a world that promises total immersion, but what happens when that illusion shatters? This quote from metaverse expert Matthew Ball, it just hits the nail on the head. For decades, we've been on a company's website or using their app. The metaverse changes the whole game. You are inside their world. This means a brand's story isn't just some marketing slogan anymore. It's a live performance, and you're right there in the front row. And to really get why this shift is so massive, the paper frames the metaverse not as some new piece of tech, but as the next great medium for human storytelling. It's an evolution that's been happening for, well, thousands of years. I mean, just look at this timeline. It really maps out our constant quest to get deeper and deeper into stories. We started with tales around a campfire, right? Then we moved to the stage with live actors, then to the massive audiovisual worlds of cinema. The metaverse is the next logical leap. It promises true presence, the ability to actually step inside the story yourself. This completely reframes the entire role of a business. If every brand is telling a story, then customer service becomes the most critical chapter of all. A great experience is that satisfying ending that makes you excited for the sequel. A bad one? Well, that's where the story ends for that customer, for good. Okay, so this brings us to a huge challenge, something the paper calls the immersion paradox. Basically, the more immersive and believable a virtual world is, the more jarring and awful it feels when that illusion shatters. So what happens when that live performance goes wrong? When there's a glitch in the matrix? In a world that's built from the ground up to be seamless, any failure feels absolutely monumental. Think about it this way. On the web today, a page not found error is frustrating, sure, but you just hit the back button and move on. In the metaverse, an error is world-breaking. Imagine your avatar glitching through the floor or a virtual item you just paid for vanishing into thin air. It doesn't just annoy you, it completely shatters your sense of reality and your trust in that brand's world. So how do we solve this? How do you fix problems without completely breaking the immersion? The paper proposes a really elegant, universal solution. They call it the Metaverse Switchboard, or the Exchange. Just picture one of those old-fashioned telephone operators from the movies, manually plugging in wires to connect your call to the right person. This AI-powered exchange is the super advanced, modern version of that. It's a central hub that intelligently connects a player with a problem to the exact brand that can solve it, all without ever forcing them to log out. So here's how it would work. A player has an issue and asks for help. They could use their voice, send a text, or even just make a gesture. The AI exchange instantly gets it and figures out what's going on. First, it tries to fix it automatically. Maybe it's a simple system issue. But if that doesn't work, it seamlessly routes the player to a human agent from the right brand. Okay, all of this sounds a little abstract, right? So let's make it concrete. To show how powerful this could be, the paper walks us through a very practical example involving a virtual sneaker purchase. So here's the scenario. You're in the metaverse and you buy a really cool new pair of virtual Nike sneakers, an NFT, a unique digital item for your avatar. But when you check your inventory, they're not there. It's a classic customer service problem, and it's incredibly frustrating. But instead of fumbling around for a support website, you just say, "Hey, where are my Nikes?" The exchange understands the context, recognizes the brand, and boom, it instantly connects you to Nike's support system right there inside the metaverse. And the support itself is tailored to the problem. A quick fix might just be a message popping up from an agent. But for something more complex, you could literally be teleported to a virtual Nike Genius Bar to talk face-to-face with an agent's avatar. The solution becomes just as immersive as the world itself. And this is where it gets really powerful. The system can also bridge the virtual and physical worlds. So maybe that virtual sneaker you bought was also supposed to trigger a shipment of the real-life pair to your house. The exchange is built to manage that entire hybrid transaction, connecting a virtual problem to a real-world solution. Now, I know what you might be thinking. This all sounds a bit like science fiction, but the final part of the paper makes a really compelling case that the technology to build this vision isn't decades away. A lot of it is already here. Think about how you use Alexa or Siri. You ask a question and it connects to some third-party service to get you an answer, like the weather or a sports score. The exchange is essentially a far more sophisticated and integrated version of that same core concept, an AI that understands context and connects all the different systems behind the scenes. And if you look at the history of customer service tech, this really is the next logical step. We went from those manual switchboards to giant call centers to self-service on the internet. The metaverse simply requires the next evolution, a truly hybrid cross-channel support system with the exchange as its engine.
So, what would it actually take to build this? It really comes down to four key things. You need access to real-time player data, a massive secure cloud infrastructure, a really smart CRM at the core, and, maybe the biggest challenge of all, you need true partnership and collaboration between all the different platforms and brands.
And that brings us to the final critical takeaway. The metaverse is transforming brands from just being storytellers into being live performers. So the question every business needs to ask is this: when the curtain rises on your virtual world, will your customer service be ready for the performance? Thanks for joining us on The Explainer.